All right, so with the college basketball season starting up this week, I think it's going to be useful and kind of cool to break down this year's college draft class in the 2026 draft class superlatives. So I'm going to be leading Cam and Brandon through just a few scenarios on, who's most likely to fill in the blank for this coming draft class. There's a ton of talent at the top, but there's also some potential to have a really deep class this year. So I'm excited to see some names that you guys bring up for these different scenarios. So starting off with the big money, assuming we'll look toward the top of this class for this answer, but who is most likely to be an MVP finalist in their career from this NBA draft class? Brandon, let's start with you.
I mean, I'm going to go with the guy who I have number one, Darren Peterson. I think like AJ and Cam, I think are very, Cam, I'm still like, I think he's going to be good. It's just the ceiling. I'm not too sure, but I still think he could be there. But Darren is like, he's so good offensively. And I think he's like, he kind of just plays on another level. And I feel like we fully haven't even seen it yet. I mean, the Louisville game, like they were taking a lot of stuff away from them and he just killed them from the outside. And like, you didn't see a lot of the high level processing. The defense also, I think, could be really impactful. Like, he just does stuff at such a high level already that I think once he does get into the league, there's not going to be a major learning curve for him, and he's just going to be able to hit the ground running. Teams are going to give him the keys, and, he's going to have a good career.
All right, so the Kansas fan says Darren Peterson as most likely to be an MVP finalist in his career. Cam, who are you thinking for this one?
I'll say AJ, just because I think if everything hits right, so like if I say everything hits right for both of them, I think the ceiling of what AJ could be is just ever so slightly higher. Like if he shoots it at the next level and at that size, with that explosiveness, that level of athleticism, I just think he's going to be somebody who's like one of those throwback forwards, like one of those like Tracy McGrady, like we've seen this before, I feel like, in a lot of ways. We've seen guys with that size and that collection of skills and ability, like, end up being, like, MVP type guys, or, like, at least in the conversation. So, if I had to bet, I would say AJ, but, like, that's, like, 50-50.
Yeah, that question really is, like, I said Darren, but I'm like, I could see a route for AJ. But, yeah, no, I'm going to stick with my guns.
Yeah, it's cool to think about at the top of this class. We have not just one guy, but there's multiple guys that could potentially be MVP finalists in their career at some point. But let's move on to the next one. Kind of an interesting one to think about. Maybe some names coming up that aren't necessarily going to potentially be top 5 picks, but could have some fun highlights this year to keep an eye out for. So, guys, Cam, we'll start with you for this one. Who's maybe someone you could see as most likely to at least participate in an NBA dunk contest or even win an NBA dunk contest from this year's class?
Says guys, that's a good question. I think Tonde would do it, so I think he's up there. Other than that, it's hard because I don't know if he's this class per se, but I think if he is this class, I think he's my answer. I think Billy Richmond is like somebody, like if he comes out this year, he's ridiculous, guys. Like he just jumps out the gym. Like he almost hurt himself against Memphis, and like as somebody who like kind of roots for Arkansas, I was like, okay, it's an exhibition. Relax. Like he tried to pin somebody's stuff, and the layup was all the way at like the top of the square. And he just like jumped and like landed awkward. Like he has like that freakish athleticism. Like it feels like at times he might not even know what to do. Like he's just jumping everywhere, running everywhere. So I think he's somebody. I think if he's this class, that would be my bet. I'll be looking while Brandon answers though to make sure I didn't miss it.
Yeah, I had to go to Tankathon and kind of go through the big board just to make sure. But yeah, I feel like at least in the first round, Tonde would kind of be my guy. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of like high flyers at the moment who are expected to go in the first. So for me, I'd probably say Tonde. But if we wanted to do like a dark horse, Braylon Mullins. Now, hear me out. He's a guy who I'm like, I need to see it. I need to see it at this next level. But like when you go and watch his, like everything, it seemed like when I was first kind of introducing myself to him, everything was either a 3 or a dunk. Now, I don't know if he's really like, if it's really going to translate to like college and the NBA, but he's a guy who's like, you wouldn't really expect it. And like, he gets so, I'm not saying that just because he's white, but like, you know, it's like the bounce is insane. And like for a guy who's a shooter and like beat you off a backdoor cut, you have to commit on him, at least at the high school level, because he's going to put one on your head.
Him, and while you were talking, I just looked. Kind of obvious, kind of mad I missed this. AJ definitely, if he does it, I think he can win. He has like, I've seen like on his like Instagram throughout the years, like he does some dunks that are like dunk contest dunks. He's done. I'm pretty sure he has like the Jimmy Gatwich under both legs dunk. Like he can do some stuff, and I think he did it at Slam a couple times. So I would say he's definitely somebody I would look at as possibly somebody.
The hard part is, I feel like the bigger guys, like they just don't. I mean, I guess they do kind of do it, but they don't. Like I just think of Jericho Sims. Like, what was that, bro? But yeah, I mean, you also had guys like Dwight who did it and they won. But I feel like now there's just such a level of creativity that you have to have, and for big guys, unless you're like really getting up there, I think it's kind of harder to execute. I don't know.
Also, it's hard to justify with like the top level guys. It's like, I'm not finna have my best player out there doing the dunk contest and we have a chance to be good. Like, I think if AJ is like on a bad team, but he's like playing really good, I think like the coach might have to let him do it. But like, let's say like a guy like Cooper Flag this year, I don't think he necessarily dunks in a way that would be like dunk contest appealing, but like, even if he did, like if I'm the Mavs, I'm not letting him be the dunk contest. You have a chance to.
Yeah, we got to do something about the NBA dunk contest, getting bigger names in there, but that's a whole other story. But pretty interesting, I think. Tunde Yesufu, definitely someone that you want to keep an eye on this season, as he's going to have a ton of highlights with the Baylor Bears dunking the ball. But moving on, I think this one might be a little bit easier to answer. There's plenty of names to pick from, so I'm interested to see who you guys have at the top of this one. But who from this year's draft class is most likely to win an NBA three-point contest? Brandon, let's go to you.
I feel funny for saying his name again, but I guess I'll say Braylon Mullins. But I'll also say Isaiah Evans too, just because that's just what he does. Like he's just a scorer, a shooter. Like he's just looking to get that shot off. And I think I kind of talked about it when we did our mock draft, but I think those are just kind of like the best two pure sharpshooters in this class, if I'm not forgetting somebody. But yeah, I'd have to go one of them too.
I'll pick two different people just to throw a couple more guys out there. I think Jasper Johnson has like a 3-point contest ready shot. Like he doesn't necessarily jump the highest on the shot and slide him the wrist. I think his shot, and I think somebody else talked about in our last episode, I think Thomas is somebody who could like really knock down a lot of.
Yeah, so those are definitely some of the top shooters in this class. I also think a sleeper that I'm excited to see how well the shot translates at the college level is Isaiah Harwell from Houston, because he was one of the better shooters out of high school, and now going to Houston, where a team that's known for having really good shooters in the past. I'm excited to see if he can bring that level of shooting to the college level. But plenty of guys who are going to be shooting a lot of threes this year, so excited to see that. And now let's move on to the next one. Who's most likely to be an all-defensive first-team member in their career in this class? Cam, I'll go to you for this one.
Caleb Wilson is just my answer to that. I think he has the upside to be the best defender in the class. I think like you have some out, especially like first team. Like, I think AJ might make one in his career. I think Tunde might have a chance to make one at some point in his career. Like there's a few guys I think like have the possibility. Like if JoJo comes out, he might make one at some point in his career. JoJo Tucker. I'm trying to think of other like really good defensive guys in the class. I would say those are like kind of the leaders. I just think Caleb Wilson is just so versatile defender. Like, he reminds me a lot of Jaden McDaniels. Like he can just guard all the way up and down the lineup. He's guarded, like he moves really well. He provides shot blocking. I mean, it's hard because there's only going to be 4 spots ever open as long as Wemby's in the league. So, you know, it's only a few spots. But I think if anybody has a shot to be there, I think Caleb Wilson is just the most versatile defender and probably just the best defender in the class.
I don't want to say any of the top guys because I feel like that's a cop out, but I think Jaden Quaintance, like I know he's battling ACL injuries or just the ACL injury. And so we kind of have to see how it looks, but everything beforehand has suggested like that got his defense alone kind of got him into some pretty high conversations, if you ask me. But no, the defense, I think if it stays the same, has the potential to be really good. And at the next level, I think, he can be pretty impact. Like that's gonna be how he gets his money, just playing defense. So Quaintance, I feel like, is a guy. Dash Daniels, I feel like I also have to mention just because he's very similar to his brother. And like the defense right now, he's kind of an all around guy, but the defense more so than anything is what's kind of the attractive thing.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my follow up to you guys. Not another most likely to yet, but is there any guard in this class that you could see being a defensive menace like that? Because you both brought up, 4s and 5s who are known for making all defensive teams, but sometimes guards do make it in there, like a Drew Holiday or a Marcus Smart.
I think now you're kind of seeing a lot of, it's hard to explain because I feel like you're seeing a lot of you feel like you're seeing more now than ever because obviously they got rid of the position thing. So like forwards typically dictate a lot of it. And like on-ball defense is one of those things that you really have to be like watching to kind of measure. But it does feel like, now a lot of those like kind of guard forward defenders are getting more love than they have in the past. I think in general, though, guards typically you kind of have to be a little bit bigger to make a defensive impact anyway. So
yeah, I think a lot of like the guards as of late, like even like your example, Drew Holiday is like a really big, like he's like not a small guard. And I think as of late, like even the guards that like made it, like Amin Thompson was somebody who's going to make it or like made it last year, and he is like 6'7". So like guys like I said his name probably 1,000 times this episode, it feels like, but like Billy Richmond is somebody in like that mold, like around that height that I think he's like a really, really good defender. Guard wise, there's a lot of like guys who are like solid on defense in this class. I don't think there's necessarily a lot of like stud guard defenders. Like Dash Daniels is obviously really good. But outside of that, like I think then you get to like your Caden Boozers. I think he's like a solid defender. Other than that, it's kind of hard because like I feel like a lot of the defensive prospects come like later down the line in the season. Like it takes a while, I think, for them to kind of catch up as recognition wise. I think just some of the best players aren't really defensive focused guys. I just don't think this class is necessarily really deep with like guard defenders.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll look for the forwards out there as the best defenders. And then as the final superlative for this episode or in this video, we'll go to the most likely to succeed. And for this one, I want you guys to think about who is most likely to win an NBA championship, regardless of where they're drafted, what team, drafts them at the top of this draft. Who's most likely to make that winning impact, regardless of where they go?
I'll say it's weird, but I'd probably say Boozer right now. Just because, like, he does all of the little things. He's won pretty much everywhere else before. Even though I don't think he has the highest ceiling, like, even if he's not a number one, like, or even, like, say somehow the offense just doesn't translate, like, he didn't reach any of what we thought he could do. Like, I still feel like he does all of the little things. He grabs board. He's physical. Like, I think the perimeter defense can be a little bit, like, sketchy at times, but I think a lot of that is also just, I think he's also got the tools to where he can kind of learn and like still be a threat, or not a threat, but like be capable out there. And also just the passing, I feel like that he has, like he just has a high IQ. He's won before. Like, even though I don't think he has the highest ceiling, it feels like he's the lob for this answer. I don't know.
Yeah, like I feel like almost guaranteed to play like at least like 15 years in the league. Like he's gonna be in the league for a really long time. I think like other guys like that, I think like Nate Amit is somebody that you fit on a lot of teams just because he's 6'10" and can shoot. So like he's gonna, but even it's kind of hard to pick any of the top guys because they're probably going to bad teams. But I would say, so I'm looking for like a guy in the middle here that like could slip a little. Well, I'll say this. I think there's a world where Chris doesn't necessarily produce big numbers at Houston this year, but does enough to get drafted. It ends up getting drafted to like a team later in the lottery or like a playoff team, or like he falls to like a team like the Thunder. Like I just think he has potential to kind of be undervalued by the end of the year, and he might fall to a spot at a really good team where he could eventually make game back.
No, I could see that for sure. I think another guy I'll say is Yesufu, just because like in his interviews and stuff, he seems like he has a really good. He just seems like he has a good mindset and like passion for the game, and like also just the way he plays. Like he's got an extremely high motor, and like I think he's a skilled player, but I think he also is like kind of the physical player that you need on a championship team. Like thinking about the Lou Dorts and the Alex Carusos of the world. Like I think he can be better, like I guess offensive players than them, but like I could see a route to where he kind of has to play a similar like, and I'm not saying the defense is on that level, but like I think you could kind of mold him to be one of those guys, you know?
Yeah, like it's kind of rough with this answer just because like guys like a Yaxel Lindenberg like might go later in the draft, so he could possibly be a good answer. Also, like it's kind of hard because like I don't know which freshmen are coming out as well, so it's like some guys like I'm like, oh, this guy could be like a late first round, maybe early second round type of guy. But most likely now, if you're a freshman, that means you're probably going back to school and not coming out in this class. But like, I think like a guy like an Alexander Lloyd is going to be somebody who's like, really like, he's going to be a role player for a long time in the league when he gets there, just because he kind of does everything a bunch of role players to do. So I think like a guy like that could possibly be an answer, but also I don't know if I would bet on him to come out this year. So.
All right. Well, those were some, college basketball superlatives. Fun to kind of break it down this way, just get a sense of some of the specific skill sets from these guys in this draft class as this season starts this week. We're going to be watching a ton of basketball, watching all sorts of aspects from these guys' games. So, yeah, thanks guys for breaking this down, and I'm excited for this season.